Welcome back, already. It's time now for game number 2. I was watching some cute little piggies throw out candy in China, and then suddenly I realized, oh wait, the game started. The draft is underway. It's game 2 of our best of 5 between LGD and the Hyperglory team. I'm GoDz, streaming his Blaze. Blaze, how you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, man. That first game was very exciting. Obviously, it was a little tilted towards LGD once they really got themselves going. HGT, they drafted themselves into a bit of a corner where they had to get some things accomplished very early on. I would say within the first 12 minutes of the game, they needed a ton of kills, and they got a few here and there, but it really wasn't that active of an early game. So, it's impressive in July. Doom play, he gets crazy farmed, and I would say he was pretty much the MVP that time around, though everybody on LGD's side impressed. But now we get into draft number 2, and I'm kind of surprised that they're going for what seems like a bit of the same strategy. They banned out the Bat Rider, which LGD have only run 3 out of the 23 matches they played in 6.83, and they let through the Tide, which is one of their most picked heroes.
Yeah, again, LGD first picked the Tide and happy to give away the Wisp. LGD get first pick 2 games in a row, so I'm guessing it's the way the pick and side thing work, where whoever chooses in the first game, the other team chooses which they want in the second game. So in theory, you can be on the same side over and over again. You could have first pick again. So depending on what you kind of prioritize, whether you want pick or side more. And HGT decide they want to make sure they're on the dire side, it seems, and maybe give LGD first pick again.
Yeah, so they switch over to that, but I mean, the Lion gets through, the Tide gets through. There's a lot of stun coming out. I mean, between these two heroes, they've got a ton of disable. They've got a lot of potential to break relocates. They've got a potential to just take care of whoever the Wisp is tethered to take him out of the fight for an extended period of time, and to limit his potential there, as well as nuking down the Wisp with the Finger of Death. It's very powerful. Again, another thing about the Bat Rider is that the lasso can be broken by the IO, so I kind of feel like their standard draft with Kaka on the Wisp would counteract that pretty well. But Tide it is, what they're going to be facing. Lion, also very powerful in this patch, got buffed 7 base damage, which is a huge deal for a 600 range support. Puts out a lot of auto attacks there, and especially against low armor heroes. Io has 0, Skywrath has 1, I think, and in that case, he's going to be putting out a lot of extra damage early. So they do ban out the Tiny, the Bristleback, the 2 heroes that HGT like to symbiotically pair with the Wisp the most, but we could still see things like the Slark.
So Medusa gets banned out. We won't see the Silent Medusa. I guess for HGT, it's so hard to ban against Silo because it's like you ban his Medusa, he goes for the Morphling, he goes for something else. You ban the Morphling, he goes for the Medusa, the Anti-Mage. It's very versatile with his hero picks, and we'll see HGT go for a different direction. They pick up the Axe this time around, and I like the Axe pick. It's something we've seen be very successful. Earlier today it was Tongfu 2-0ing C-Deck using Axe in both of those games, and definitely a hero which you can put a lot of pressure on the LGD with.
Yeah, that hero can really create a bloodbath, but
The AA,
all the same, that you need
out.
the damage initially. The Skywrath is able to put out some decent damage within his first couple of levels, but until it's level 6 when this combo really starts kicking. When you get the Blink Taunt with the Mystic Flare, the culling is going to be coming, and that's going to be a huge opportunity for them to build their kill momentum. They can actually pick up a pretty hard carry on top of this because they got the IO to kind of infuse him with extra sustainability, extra effective HP, as well as some extra damage. And then the Axe can kind of tempo control to build time where this hero can get big. But he still wants to be relatively involved early. A little bit of front-loaded burst damage never hurt anybody. And I can't rely too much on lifesteal as he's going to be going up against the Ancient Apparition. It's still BKB. The magic damage is coming out, the disables, but that Ice Blast debuff will still persist through.
And good against the Wisp as well, so that tether heal and any kind of mech buyer is kind of taken out of the equation to some extent with the AA pickup as far as the mid to late game Ice Blasts go. We'll see what HGT look to go for instead. Maybe now is when they bring back the Juggernaut. The Healing Ward, obviously another thing that's just countered by the AA ultimate, but if you're running the carry Jug, the hero is less built around the Healing Ward. Like the offlane Ice Jug, it's all about the Healing Ward, but I feel as a carry, it's much more about getting you to the late game.
Yeah, and then you have plenty of invulnerability time where you don't have to worry about those big disables, those big cooldowns, and I think that actually would be a very powerful pick. IO with the Blink Bug can stay tethered to him even when he's Omni Slashing and overcharge that. It's pretty cool, and he's just going to go with the Tried and True Slark. So another way to get out of all these hexes and crazy disables is just to break through them with the Dark Pact. I get that strong Dispel to handle it, but of course the Ancient Apparition is a pretty good hero against the Slark. We mentioned the mech aspect with the IO, the Magic Wand and Bottle, but you also have to look at the Shadow Dance passive and say that he's not going to get as much out of that this game as opposed to many others.
Yeah, as much as it's tried and true, we've seen LGD handle the Slark time and time again. They've beaten HGT using this hero twice already, so we'll see if third time's the charm for ZSMJ with the Slark pick. And LGD yet to pick up their Sylar hero, so they seem to be holding on, waiting to kind of gather more info about HGT's draft maybe before they decide what just they might be getting. Definitely not an anti-mage game, I feel. Axe, Rex, anti-mage in general. Slark's pretty good against anti-mage too.
I actually think that with the blink effect against the Pounce that he's pretty solid, but
There
of course
we go.
Skywrath, Silence,
This is a
all
Naga
that
game.
stuff.
This is
Yeah,
definitely a Naga game.
certainly is. I think they could have considered the Morphling as well because they have the AA on their side, but
Yep.
Naga is just so sweet here. Like being able to spread the map, not worried about your illusions getting taken care of by like the Lion mana drain or anything like that. He can just do whatever he wants. He gets tons of early game presence with his supports, so he will get a pretty well timed Radiance with or without the early stat items that many Nagas have to pick up. And end of the day, this means that he can just explode and farm very quickly unless HGT do something insanely aggressive.
All right, well, we'll see what HGT have in mind when they see this Naga. I think they need to throw some... The thing is, they can be aggressive in the mid game, but they have no real way to take towers. Not even a good Roshan lineup, and they're on the dire side as well. So I feel like this last pick of theirs really needs to fill that gap. As to what does fill that gap, that's a tough question. Give them some extra either pushing power or even just some way to deal with the Naga a bit better. They really like to go for these tri-cores, which are all hard to kill, but at some point, LGD just survive the early to mid game and then have the better late game. That just seems to be the recipe for success, where LGD have beat HGT the last 3 games they've played together.
I think they still could look at that Juggernaut potentially, but when he's spinning, he can be ensnared, and of course, if they song while he's Omni-Slashing, he's the only one doing damage. So there are some limitations to it. It really depends on how they want the lanes to pan out. But I think a core hero is still, with a lot of damage and a lot of early game presence, is still absolutely necessary. And I like the fact that Juggernaut has that kind of built-in BKB component against the Tide. But end of the day, they ban out the Shadow Fiend, which would have been another hero that can just snowball very quickly if left unchecked.
They ran it the other day against Vici Gaming as well, so something they feel can fit their lineup.
Queen of Pain.
That's a pick.
Well,
They don't have a history of picking much Queen of Pain at all here. This is actually a very surprising pick coming out. Queen of Pain has been picked once, and they lost with it in 6.83. So not exactly sure what the game plan is here, but by all means, try something different, because the strategy they put forward in the last game just didn't pan out.
yeah, I feel for HGT, it's snowball or lose right now. Similar, I mean, I feel like that's so often. I remember casting the Vici Gaming loser bracket final, I think it was game 3, where I'm like, if this draft doesn't win the game in 20 minutes, they have no chance of winning late game. And got to say, I have the similar feeling here. They've got 3 cores, so currently LGD's 1 kind of core, but I look at a hero like Tide, and I feel like Tide in the late game is as good as something like a Queen of Pain. Double Refresher Ravage is just a game winner in so many situations.
So looking at the only game that they have in 6.83 on this hero, and therefore, for the most part, for the better part of the year, since she wasn't popular at all before that, Air played her and went for a BKB Orchid build, and then into the Aghanim Scepter, at least tried to. And if he goes for that Orchid early, he could cause Naga some grief until the Manta style comes out. And then at that point, it's just like, okay, well, there's not much to be done. The Axe has to initiate. That's their really only choice after that Manta is up. So really just comes down to Sylar's farm rate and how well HGT snowball. They know they can't take the late game against him, even with the legendary ZSMJ. Sylar, he's just too damn good at farming.
All right, well, last pick goes to the Timbersaw, a hero I have not seen Yao play too much of, and it's a hero that a few teams have tried here and there as a mid laner, and I'd say had mixed success, but great against the Slark because you can do damage through Shadow Dance, through Invis, tears apart the Io and the Axe as they're both strength heroes, and I think specifically the Wisp. This is a hero you want to kill as early as possible in the fight, so not going to be a fun game for Mr. Io.
Yeah, very, very difficult one. They only have the 2 strength heroes, so oftentimes Timbersaw is kind of a shoe-in for the draft if your opponent has 3 strength heroes. He's very good at draining that primary attribute, so it's really good for bursting him down. But end of the day, Timbersaw is just going to be gunning down the Wisp for the most part. He'll constantly look to Timber Chain on him and just try to make his life a nightmare. If he can bring down the Wisp quickly enough in majority of the fights, it won't matter how much farm HGT get because they're going to be down one hero constantly.
I see TP's down bottom line, gets down the double ward, so he's going to block this, and it's going to require 2 sentries to deward these, unless you put it down in the middle and then you're blocking your own camp anyways, so nice ward placement from him. And as for the rest of HGT, looking to main control of their own jungle as they cut down trees for the Wisp stacks and just make sure LGD haven't gone for a foray into that dire jungle.
So we'll see if they're going to go for like a dual lane mid or if they're just going to leave Air to his own devices in that position there. As far as like roaming ganks, MMY has some good potential with the Boots First Lion, but I don't know.
I feel like we may see Wisp end up more near the bottom lane.
Okay.
Either stacking or bottom lane. Air definitely wants solo XP as a Queen of Pain. Unless you have a really tough lane, you do not want to have the Wisp there leeching your XP.
Yeah, I just think if there's 1 point in the snare from Sylar, there's a lot of potential for bringing down the Queen of Pain. That blink is insane, but Hex level 1 even is a really, really powerful 2.5 second duration, and followed it up with the right spells, you could get a lot of kills against a hero that just can't die, plain and simple, in the laning phase. Like, I think she's about as reliant on not dying as a Shadow Fiend is.
We'll quickly run through our 2 lineups. On the LGD side, up 1-0, it's going to be MMY on the Lion, heading top lane with the Tide of in July. Mid lane's going to be Sylar on the Naga Siren, supported by Faith on the AA, and they're going to do Timbersaw in a safe lane solo versus Axe, being played by Yao.
And already the dual lane Faith comes in with a Chilling Touch, immediately air blinks back. It's a longer cooldown now, 15 seconds, but it is that massive 1300 range.
Oh,
so
check out this bottom lane. Okay, never mind, it's gone. Axe was just golden for a second. He was running around with like a golden tinge to him. I don't know what that was, but it was kind of crazy. It was the the whirling death effect. But I've never seen that. I've never seen it be that shiny and golden.
Yeah, it might be Axe specific there. Not sure if it's intended or a visual bug, but it looks cool either way.
It looks like one of those golden plushies, like golden items you can get.
So one neat thing about the Axe's matchup here up against the Timbersaw, although generally speaking, Timbersaw up against a melee strength hero is like an ideal matchup, Axe has gotten a lot of buffs to his base HP gain. Not his strength-based HP gain, just his base, and that means that he's still going to have at least 3.0 HP per second coming out, no matter how many times he gets hit by the Whirling Death. So a couple tangos here and there, and he'll actually be able to control the lane pretty well.
Yeah, I don't think this is as bad a match for the Axe as it may first seem, so we'll see how things match up for him. He has gone for a Battle Hunger heavy build, 2 points in the Battle Hunger against Yao. Yao wants to get rid of this as soon as possible here under his tower, and will do so, hitting the Axe in the process. Meanwhile, top lane, tri-lane versus tri-lane now, so LGD commit both their supports, helping out Injuli's Tide, which is, I feel, a slightly odd decision here. I guess they don't want ZSMJ getting too much farm, but it feels like normally you just leave the Tide up here to do his thing in the offlane as like a solo hero, but the supports being up here is a weird choice. I
mean, they have a choice of essentially supporting, Pounce will connect.
Why? It should be just fine here. It does get hit by 1 Arcane Bolt, 1 more would be needed, which isn't there, and the SMJ does not want to chase into the Chilling Touch damage.
So it's kind of a choice between supporting and babysitting the Tide and babysitting the Timbersaw. Like, the one that they want to get the most farm is on the mid lane, and he's doing pretty well for himself. Sylar already setting himself up for 10 CS, and I mean, he can just spam out the Riptide whenever he needs to. So, yeah, I think they don't really have much choice but to just get involved somewhere, and shutting down the core Slark, I guess, is the ideal thing.
Yeah, I think if they stick with the dual lanes, like keep AA mid, the problem is then HGT will just dual lane top and use the Wisp to stack camps constantly. And I think you want to keep the Wisp in lane as much as possible so he's not stacking, perhaps. Keep these HGT supports in the tri-lane, which so far they've done for the most part. They are going to go for some pulls here, but LGD, being in the Radiant offlane, can go for pulls of their own, using that big camp later on as well, should they need to. And MMY actually smoked up, going for an early kill mid lane. The Courier's there as well. He'd love to get this pick off. One more right click, it gets upgraded. Ooh. That could have been a kill with Ensnare as well. I think he was actually going for the kill, not the Courier. He was not. The Courier just happened to be there.
Yeah, circumstantial. But luckily the sports had the gold they needed, and of course it's after the 3-minute mark. So that's going to survive. No casualties lost, just a little bit of wasted time for Lion as he makes his way all the way down bottom. And the Observer Ward actually didn't see him there, but not sure if he'll be in a dangerous position.
Level 5 Timbersaw does have 2 reactive though.
Yeah. He went actually a 102 build to survive better against the spins, but MMY, yeah, doesn't even go for any of his spells.
Yeah, I don't think Axe was not really a viable kill there, and Axe is just going to run an MMY, and with this Battle Hunger build, MMY forced to defensively impale. He's looking for a Hex now as well. Icy wants to chase this, but forces out an impale and a Hex, takes practically no damage. That was a big win for him in the bottom lane. MMY comes bottom, and now he's back to base.
Yep. So back to a solo lane. Essentially, Axe gets the experience advantage as a result of a little bit of leeching, but in the end, they're still pretty close quarters, and the Chakram is going to come out, which actually creates some kill potential. Once you actually have that slow on top, then double stun plus that ability, and Icy should fall. But we'll see where MMY rotates as.
Yeah.
Right now, it's going to be Faith kind of roaming around his own jungle.
I like the ganks on mid lane. That solo smoke on mid, I feel like that was a high percentage play. I feel like at least 2 out of 3 times that gank works, because you're not really expecting it. You see 2 heroes top. It's a level 2 Lion, and he's smoked up. So I think from that point of view, that was a really good gank to go for. The rotation bottom, though, that was a bit questionable. They didn't really have the damage to kill Icy with this 2-1-2 build from Timbersaw.
Regen Room pop out from Sylar, negating the harassment coming out from Air. He does go for just 1 point in Shadow Strike, though, but he doesn't really... There's no real decision-making to go for Queen of Pain skill build until you hit about level 8. Then you choose, do you want more Shadow Strike and keep the 1 point Wonder? Nice Blink Dodge coming up against the Ensnare.
He sees it coming. He's got the ward freshly planted on his high ground, so he's spotted out this line for some time, and they're going to fall back and go for a smoke. And it looks like they're going bottom, not towards Air's Queen of Pain.
Very low-level Lion here. I mean, you look at the supports, HGT side, they're both well above 3, and MMY not even halfway through level 2.
This feels like a gank that really needs to work for LGD's support, who are really far behind.
It looks like it will, though.
Yeah, there's a level 6 Axe. We'll need some insta-TPs to come in. Nothing as of yet. The Chakram to start things off with a level 6 Timbersaw. Yeah, easy pickings. Lion getting the last hit. Gets him up to at least Tranquil Boots money if he's going to be buying those. And the Radiant support's still kind of struggling a little bit and are behind, I'd say, compared to HGT supports. But at least getting the... that's a first blood too. That's the other big thing. So that's a good chunk of gold for LGD.
Early bottle manipulation coming out. Kaka's got the empty bottle here, but is actually going to be taking Air's bottle, swapping it around, so Air gets the rune and Kaka still gets the restoratives.
I like that. That's cute. Not something you'd normally think. Normally just be like, well, we'll just keep my rune. I'll keep my bottle and you just bottle it up if it's the Queen of Pain who wants it. But nice little swap. Meanwhile, stacks are going to be... Actually, no stacks. It's just the Axe farming up the jungle, deciding that offlane's suddenly a bit too dangerous. Icy's blink timing was looking pretty good. The death will slow him down, though, and the blink is kind of, I feel, a lot of what HGT are going to be looking to play around. So getting this up as fast as possible, not even going for the Tranquil Boots. The Tranquil Boots ultimately won't really help him out that much in the lane, so I like the decision for Icy just to straight rush the blink.
So at this point in time, it has become a free lane for Yao. Not only able to get an assist on the first blood, but also just getting a free CS for as long as he wants to. He's going to, however, go back to base, maybe go for a TP gank with full mana, and leave Faith to farm the waves. And this means he can go for the Midas into Aghanim Scepter build and just provide global nuke presence with his Ice Blast. So he doesn't actually have to go to the fights. He just keeps farming away, plays that 4 position, and still contributes a ton to the team.
Well, we'll see where Yao looks to go when he heals up. A lot of these lanes are pretty hard to gank. I think ZSMJ at top is just too hard to kill because of the Shadow Dance, but they've been continually trying to get Air in the mid lane, but this Observer Ward has paid for itself. A second gank attempt recently by the Lion, once again not really succeeding, and he's going to smoke up with the Timbersaw. Looks like they're going to try bait the Tide out at top, and Tide about to hit level 6, so this timing actually works pretty nicely if Tide can get Ravage, and I think this one creep will give him the level 6, assuming he gets solo XP, which may not be the case.
Yeah. So the question is, can they get the Slark, or do they have to settle for a support? It's going to be a rune race, actually. Sylar is able to pick it up before Kaka denies it, but he will tether out, so no real harm done. They're going to go.
Yeah, Rabbit gets the Dark Pact off, but the Survive is not there. The Whirling Death Timber Chain was enough, even with the Dark Pact during the Ravage. That's some fast fingers from ZSMJ, though. Even though he goes down, I've got to say, speedy reactions coming out.
So able to bring down the most critical kill on the map, 2-0. And that's just easy pickings.
Yeah, misses the Chakram, doesn't matter. Timbersaw should help his buddies out, maybe tank the tower a little bit, but no, it's going to be tight. And gets that one up. Here comes your Axe Blink Dagger, though. Just now picks it up, and it looks like mid lane may be where he's headed. Sylar trying to pressure the tower. He thinks he has it. One TP in, and there we go. It's going to be the Wisp TP. Blink call is coming, and Sylar, he's got a Song, though. He may be able to get out of this one. Song, no TP, but he can just walk out of this, it looks like. Can't keep up, and relocate. Not online just yet. Queen of Pain going to go in, gets Hex before she can Sonic Wave. MMY keeps his buddy alive. They're going to lose MMY in the process, but the save is there. Sylar's still alive. Well worth it in the end, and a lot of damage onto the Wisp. One more tower, he gets him down to 15 HP. Yao now goes in, going to miss the Chakram once more. The Ensnare getting disjointed by air for the second time this game, and HGT get their first kill of the game, but it still feels like LGD going to be pretty happy with that exchange considering the Naga survives, and HGT reveal their Blink. It's that first Blink gank which often catches you by surprise.
Yeah, didn't know Icy's level of farm there. He actually got a ton of CS, up to 52 now, though. I would say a good 15 to 20 of those are jungle creeps. Either way, he's still got a lot of gold, and he wants to keep the momentum rolling. He wants to smoke up here and look for an opportunity to bring down the low HP hero. But right now, it's just a Timbersaw up top. So, might still find this kill as it is a 3v1, but there is some real potential that the silence is not going to be enough.
Alright, well, looks like Yao going to play things safe, back off, sensing that something is wrong up there, and with good reason. So, look to rejoin with his team, and it looks like In July going to go back to working his Blink Dagger now with a decent-sized Ancient stack here waiting him. Air, though, Invis doesn't check the Ancients. He's headed top, and unfortunately for Air, his Queen of Pain hasn't been able to find too many kills just yet. Had a Sonic Wave kill there until MMY's Lion saved the day. But it looks like they're going to now group up, take out, or at least attempt to take out this tier 1 top tower.
Yeah, and it's a very low value tower for HGT in general. Like, LGD don't need that to control the map.
They're trading for mid, which is high value.
The big thing it covers is giving a little bit better control over their Ancient Camp, but Tide's getting everything he needs out of that right now to get his early Blink Dagger, or Mechanism as it may be. So, in that position, they don't really care that they're going to lose it, and they're actually going to get one in exchange. So, during this time where the first Song of Siren is on cooldown, they're able to get an even exchange, and Tide is able to pull ahead with the Blink Dagger. Like, this is everything LGD wants in the early game.
Yeah, and a tier 1 mid for the tier 1 top I'd feel is even an LGD favored trade. A tier 1 mid for your Naga Siren, who's looking to get the Radiance as fast as possible for the team, so I feel like from that point of view, HGT did not get a good exchange there. The entire time AA was farming bottom, and HGT had, I believe, all 5 tops, so they were committing 5 while LGD were farming mid as well as bottom lane, and Naga Siren, yeah, as said, getting the tower last hit, so all in all, it feels like a LGD favored exchange, and we'll see where they look to go from here. There's a Blink up on In July now, and this is going to make it even more difficult for HGT to pick fights.
So, Midas recipe already up for Faith. This is really difficult for HGT. Like, we were already looking at previous, like the game 1, they were kind of... Their morale was broken after a couple of fights because they knew how well Sylar was going to do in the mid to late game, just with the amount of farm that he was putting out. In this game, it's not even just Sylar, it's everybody. The Timbersaw is getting a huge amount of farm, the Ancient Apparition is going to have a ton with the Midas as the game goes along, and the Tide already has his bread and butter with the Blink. They're going to go for a play, but if this fails, they're on the road to a repeat of game number 1.
Sylar may scout them out from afar. He's got the sleep ready, will pop it instantly! Oh dear, the ward spotted out everyone. There's an Ice Blast, there's a Ravage, this looks bad. The Blink out from the Axe will be there in time, as well as Air's Blink. They only get the Wisp in the end, but Icy's still in trouble. There's an Impale, there's a Hexa follow, hits level 6 the line from that kill. Now we've got Finger of Death. You gotta get out of here, HGT. 5 kills to 1, and there's gonna be the Finger kill. MMY's line will go down in return, but it's a 3-for-1 trade. LGD smash apart HGT. Sylar scouts out the smoke, and most importantly, this Observer Ward. It was nighttime. Vision was not really so much in LGD's favor there, except for that ward.
Yeah. Nice. They see what they need to. They react in time is a big thing too. Sylar just very quick, thinking that he might be walking into trouble, and when he sees it, he immediately pops the song. So they get great Ice Blast from Faith, and they start off just piece by piece, but they're able to do the damage, and this is a huge tempo breaker. Like HGT, they can't out-farm LGD with the amount of Midas and soon-to-be Radiance coming out on the side of LGD, and they currently can't out-gank them, as we just saw. Yep. Their entire team fight was torn apart.
All right, Faith, use your Midas. There we go. You waited an awful long time to use that Midas, but We'll see
It
him.
was just a null too, right? Or a kobold. He didn't really get too much as far as
No.
experience out of that.
The Tide took out the big camp, so there wasn't really a good creep to use it on. He actually didn't use it right away, I think, because he was looking for a bigger creep, but
Yeah.
nothing presented itself. He
You
used his
really
ultimate
want,
to farm some ogres too. That was fun. Oh.
you really want to get the higher level in Ice Blast as quickly as possible. 11 and 16 are huge for AA, so I understand why he definitely waited for the opportunity to pick up a higher level creep, but yeah, you take whatever you can get.
Gotta say, this Timbersaw pick has been pretty useful so far. The laning stage in the first 5 to 10 minutes weren't fantastic, and he wasn't doing that much damage with his early game skill build, but he's picked it up since then. Icy blinks into a Chakram. The Ancient Seal is there, relocating as well. They want to bring down Yao badly. He's pretty damn tanky, but he will Timber Chain out. He's still alive and kicking. That heart still beats. ZSMJ needs to get on top of him, but another Timber Chain. The TP out. Is he going to make it? Done. Axe barely gets him. The Ice Blast gets dodged as well by a Wisp. Relocate out. Just in time. That Ice Blast would have finished off Kaka as well, so that almost went horribly wrong for HGT. It still feels like it went wrong for them, because that was 4 heroes, meanwhile Silas farming away. I feel like LGD, again, do not care about a kill like that.
Yeah, it's still nice to have for HGT kind of getting a little bit of momentum against one of the highest levels on the side of LGD. But yeah, they do not need to keep their Timbersaw alive to feel good about this game. They just need the Naga to keep farming, the Ancient Apparition to stay on the map. He's about to get a very juicy Hand of Midas usage on the Wild Wing or the Troll, and he's actually going to be throwing an ulti up top, maybe an opportunity to bring down
bottom
Sky,
lane, the
but-
solo kills from ZSMJ are going to come out. This Shadowblade pickup, this is the punish supports a clock for ZSMJ. He's going to be going around with this and looking to kill MMY and Faith wherever possible. Both of those two are guaranteed kills from even when they're full HP. Unless something like a Tide Blink Ravage or a mech comes into play, which is the mech not online just yet.
So it's very interesting. Faith is being very careful about not taking farm away from Sylar there. There was a double stack of hard camps, and he had the Hand of Midas available, but he waited about 20 seconds, got the stack off, then went to a different camp. That's how I wasn't farming, and then popped the Midas. He is just playing a full support, even with this kind of greedy build.
He's full support. I guess he's already ahead of where a normal AA support would be. So he's like, look, I'd like to use my mice as soon as possible, but this Naga Radiance is more important than... matters more than me getting like my Ag Scepter a little bit faster, perhaps.
Yeah.
And Sylar, I guess he's going to have a 16, 17 minute Radiance, so I feel any game in Naga has a Radiance before like 18, 19 minutes, there's an incredible rate of success there.
So, I mean, like you were saying, the Shadowblade is going to kind of drain on the supports a bit. A lot of sentries had to be picked up by MMY, but this is the only thing that really put them for their aggressive foot forward in this game, and it's probably not going to be enough. Like, the Sentry Wards are already coming out, the smoke fails, and they just make their way up top with the Radiance already en route.
Yeah. When they see this Shadowblade, it's like, okay, let's 5-man. We're not going to send MMY or Faith. Their time of solo farming empty lanes is done because of the Shadowblade, which is annoying. They'd like it will mean they're getting a bit less gold, but ultimately HGT's way back in this game is going to be by constant pickoffs and ganking. So you take that out of the equation by just playing a bit safer, getting a bit less farm, and you end up in a really good position. Because right now it just feels like Sylar, he can stall this game out to ultra late game. He can win this game just on the back of his Naga Siren alone, and you've got incredible team fight from Tide, from Timbersaw. It just feels like LGD have so many different ways to win this game, and for HGT there's only really like one way, which is constant ganking and snowballing from finding pickoff after pickoff.
Yeah. Now, Air just picked up his level 11 on Queen of Pain, so he will be able to put out 390 pure damage in the fights. A lot of damage, but the Tide's about to pick up his mech and nullify most of those gains. So as long as Injali is in the right position, very involved in the fight with the Ravage and the mech, it's still not going to be Queen of Pain to just completely combo people down. Like, maybe the Skywrath can contribute enough with the Ancient Seal for one person to be in Culling Blade range.
Axe goes in, he walked into this one. The Ravage is there, does not catch the ZSMJ Slack with the Wisp as they relocate in, but Axe is dead. Timbersaw on the side, be brought down, but HGT once again commit most of their team just to get a okay-ish trade. A 1-for-1 Axe for Timbersaw feels pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravage cooldown is pretty huge, but they're not relying on it right now. They can disengage from fights. Silo's about to hit level 11 himself, and that means that any gank that they set up unless it's perfectly timed with silences, is just going to be songed away.
It only feels like the Ravage cooldown's huge if HGT can take objectives with it. Because end of the day, LGD, that was the first Ravage in like 6 or 7 minutes. They're not looking to actively teamfight with this. So I think LGD are happy to sit back, get their farm on, not fight when they don't have Ravage. Even when they do have Ravage, they're not fighting. So it puts pressure on HGT to go right now. Make something happen while Ravage is enough, and it's kind of hard to do so. Right now, LGD's positioning, the fact they have sleep still, makes it very hard to find those kills.
Yeah. And there's one item pickup that just came out from the Ancient Apparition, but is in the hands of Sylar. This is something that Chinese teams do that Western teams actually are, they've actually self-professed that they're very bad about it. It's picking up early gems. Usually you'll see from Western teams, 25 past the minutes, they'll start picking up gems, they'll start looking into that. But in this case, they know how secure. Oh, MOI does get picked up by the Shadow Blade of ZSMJ and forces Faith to TP out. But they know how secure Sylar is. With this Song TP, well, actually no TP at the moment, but BOTs will be very shortly. And there they are. So with Song BOTs, he'll be able to get out of pretty much any situation.
And it helps the supports so much too, because you can send those illusions with the supports, and they have that gem cover.
Exactly. And so they get map control, they're going to be able to very soon take out these 2 Observer Wards, and they're not going to have to worry about the Shadow Blade nearly as much. And it's just a very smart pickup that they shouldn't be regretting, as Sylar is just getting too farmed to really be gankable.
Where's the Ice Blast, Faith? This is the perfect time. It doesn't seem LGD know Roche is going on. Illusion's not going to scout it out. There's nothing going, and this would have been a somewhat straightforward Roshan to contest with sleep. No Ravage, I guess, is the main thing. Ice Blast comes, but it's too late. Will catch out most of the team. Icy as well as Kaka taking quite a bit of damage, and Illusion with Riptide could get some kills here. Oh, actually uses a bit too early there. I don't think he was keeping an eye on that. I think he was trying to push out the mid lane with another Illusion, so.
Who needs to farm heroes when you've got creeps on the waves? Sylar, he's very focused right now, just saying, okay, I can take every camp right now. I'm 20 minutes in with BOT's Radiance, the Manta style. I don't think it'll even take him but 4 or 5 minutes, and he'll pretty much have it. They're going to look for the smoke play, though, and maybe able to blink in with the Axe. But it's going to take a Silence. It's going to take the Taunt. It's going to take at least 3, if not 4 or 5 heroes.
And he's already gone. He's back to base, playing it safe. He sees 4 or 5 heroes missing on the map, even with the illusions up. Sylar knows that it's the kind of play that HGT probably have to make at this point, at some stage, to try and get that gem off him and get a much-needed kill on him as well. Well, LGD still looking pretty good right now. They've seen Slark pick up a few kills here and there, but it's not been that, like, Illidan-style Slark, which just spends the entire, like, 15 to 30 minute stage of the game in the enemy jungle, just going for solo pickoffs and constantly finding them. He has to play a lot more cautiously, and largely it's because of this gem.
Yeah, at this point in time, like, they have no vision across the map. They know that they can't Shadow Blade and gank the Naga. They actually can't gank anybody, really, the way that they've been positioning themselves together. But yeah, more and more wards are coming out in favor of LGD, and HGT's support just don't have the resources to counteract it. Like, they have Sentry wards coming out for Skywrath. He'll put them where he can, but to see every ward, the one in the mid lane, the one on the lower plateau, it's such good coverage from LGD, and HGT don't have the resources to deal with it. They're already so far behind, and that gem is essentially just a renewable resource as far as taking care of the map control.
They have enough vision that they know when those smoke ganks are happening to, or at least get a pretty good idea, because they can see around the Ancients, the bottom lane. They have great vision in the mid lane. That's where Sylar's like, okay, I'm in their jungle with illusions. I don't see them. They're probably smoked up.
Yeah, I mean, they just like walk through mid lane, and they have 2 great wards to know exactly what's coming.
Well, ZSMJ gets 1, and looking for a second here. MMY does not get the blink off, or he's already used it, and one more Arcane Bolt will bring him down. This is about time, I feel like. HGT just have to set up camp in this Radiant jungle. The problem is they also have to constantly defend the Naga illusion split pushing, but I feel at least ZSMJ has to be always on this Radiant side of the map. Have heroes like the Axe and the Queen of Pain dealing with the Naga split push, but ZSMJ with Aegis, BKB Shadow Blade, he should be finding constant kills. AA and Line should not be able to leave a tower.
And at the end of the day, Air has to be in a position to make things happen as well. The Queen of Pain has to find Naga before she finishes this Banta, but 2,800 gold already. Just bam, there's the Yasha, 800 on top of that. That Manta's coming out so quick, and then the Orchid will be near useless.
Yeah, I see things like, oh, I've maybe got a kill if I can find a Naga somewhere up here. Yeah, that not happening. He sees one illusion, but that's just an illusion. He doesn't know just yet, but he soon will.
I like this ward coming out from...
They see HGT. They want to take a fight, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if they know about this ward, though, and this is actually a really nice one. Up on the high ground, it still gives some vision to the Dire. Not much, but some. And it is not as easy to de-ward with the gem.
Yeah, not a spot you get really... You don't get vision of that from the low ground, so...
Up just above it, and behind those trees, and up here are two of the best spots for the Radiant jungle.
They haven't got illusions. I was about to say, they maybe would have spotted it then, but they didn't have any illusions of the Naga with them. And ZSMJ on the hunt. I like this. Constantly just spam your Shadow Blade out, go for a wander, and he's going to scout them out from the high ground, sees everyone, gets Blink Hex though. Does Dark Pact out of that one. Could have maybe gone for a... I guess Pounce and Shadow Blade were on cooldown. Well, no, he pounced out. What am I talking about? But could have maybe gone for a BKB Pounce in, but decides to play it a bit on the safer side. Doesn't want to use the BKB maybe right off the bat, because if they kite him around and waste his BKB, then it's no good.
Yeah, he knew something was up where he had no Shadow Dance buff, so he immediately pops the Dark Pact before the Blink comes out. Otherwise, that would have been probably a dead Slark, and at that point, like, your Shadow Blade BKB Slark, he's designed to just hunt and kill and a snowball, and he's just being put in the grave over and over. It's just not going to work. We do have Sylar being ganked, but he has the BOTs, and there is no stun.
They're going to spot him in a second. Yeah, like you say, no stun. Easy sleep TP out. Level 2 sleep, so 2-minute cooldown, but I think Sylar is going to be more than happy, and his team not going to be too worried about anything crazy that's going to happen in that 2-minute time span. The age is just about to expire, so from that point of view, HGT have to be somewhat cautious themselves that Slark doesn't get pounced upon himself.
So they're controlling the jungle a little bit here, just kind of asserting their dominance. LGD are certainly the more passive. But that's because they have a choice. They could actually take a fight, and they actually have a good chance of winning it, but there's no need for that whatsoever. They just keep farming up. The game just falls into their laps, and they're happy to take game 2 and a best of 5 that cleanly. So they'll just play it very calmly, very passively, and wait for HGT to make the aggressive move. Maybe they'll make a mistake in their aggression, because they really do need everybody in the right place at the right time. I was talking before about the aspect of the Orchid preventing the song, but you also actually need the taunt to prevent the TP, because if you look at it, Queen of Pain, Slark, Skyrest, Wisp, nobody has a TP cancel. She's now tanky enough that she'll probably survive the 3-second channel.
Yeah, and with the Manta Cell up, Sylar now can get out of those silences and the Orchid, the Ancient Seals, so he can make sure he gets off the song.
His Axe and Axe don't like to gank him now. It's too much to ask for.
Well, this slow-paced farm game definitely favoring LGD. They've got a refresher brewing on the Injuly Tidehunter for HGT. And they've kind of want to just keep on ganking and find some fights here. Queen of Pain, Slark not known for being the best late-game carries. They're much more these mid-game snowballers, and we're just not really seeing it here. Ayers Queen of Pain is 2-0-1, but ultimately that's only 3 kills he's been involved in. They've yet to even really apply any pressure to any of these tier 2 towers. They're all full HP, more or less.
Need something to happen, but I mean, Slark's not really going for a pushing build. They get some attack speed from the Treads and the Shadow Blade, but without Essence Shift stacks, he can't push anywhere near as fast as the opposition, and that means they're kind of relying on creep cutting. Actually, an Ice Blast, Icy in the mid lane, dying to Radiance, taunts it, but he will go down to the Ice Blast. Oh,
I was watching him fight those illusions, and like, this is not going to end well for him, is it? Like, I don't think the illusions weren't going to kill him, but all it was going to take was Faith to line up that Ice Blast, and line it up he did.
They commit for the top tower. They will actually clean it up, but the Ravage coming through.
Oh, get ZSMJ too! Oh, BKB's just in time. He had 100-ish HP. Kaka.
Oh!
Whoa, the sleep saves him from the finger! Oh, it's not going to matter, but
yeah,
that was kind of cool. That Slark almost got blown up. He Dark Pacted away, but then the Ravage clipped him at the very edge, and Timbersaw almost blew him up.
Yeah.
That's luck. Lucky to survive, perhaps.
Yeah, BKB safe, but I mean, that's not how you want your BKB to be used. They need to start making things happen, and I guess that's got to be with this next Roche spawn.
That was his 10-second BKB as well.
Yeah. So, in about 40 seconds, they'll be ready to try to invade the pit. 3 minutes could be the spawn time. We'll see the actual timer in a moment, and they really got to just use the BKBs, find an Aegis, and I guess fight when Song's on cooldown. It's still a level 13 Naga, so some decent time in between those ultis.
Now we're seeing the Minesweeper in action. ZSMJ says, look, it's warded up here. He probably realizes it's warded by this Roshan pit, using that ultimate to scout these wards out, which is a pretty nice use for the Slark, and something where LGD just pushed the tier 1 and tier 2 bottom tower. And that's where LGD there just got so much out of that. They got 2 towers. They didn't defend their top tier 2, but they got pickoffs with the AA at mid on the Axe, and then they got the pickoff on the Wisp at top. It just feels like HGT are getting the worst end of every single exchange that's happening for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking back at the combat log, and I'm not seeing a reason that the Queen of Pain popped her BKB. So I'm not sure if she just felt a little antsy, if it was a misclick or what, but she was only taking illusion damage when she popped her BKB. Oh, wow. So maybe a misclick with the 10-second charge.
A wand or a Orchid that was meant to be used.
Yeah, that would be a real shame if that was it. I didn't catch it. I think there was action going on top at the time, but they've got 3 BKBs. They've used 2 of them, 1 defensively and 1 perhaps uselessly.
Well, Sylar continuing to do Naga Siren things here at the top lane. Has used the Mantisal, so catching him out could be a potential kill with the silence, but nope, he's already out of there. He's gone bottom lane, doesn't feel it's safe much longer, and he's pressuring the high ground now. This is not going to be a lot of damage, but it's still going to be maybe 500 or so, and in the jungle, ZSMJ going to run right into Fate. Should be a kill to start things off on the AA. Nice Impale will only actually get Kaka in the end, but they blow up the Wisp. ZSMJ, somewhat stranded, has Shadow Dance Pounce, should be able to escape and will get himself to the river, to the low ground. 1-for-1 trade. Ultimately, these kind of exchanges just constantly favor LGD because Naga's pushing out lanes, Naga's just applying pressure all over the map, and HGT show no signs of taking any more towers this game right now.
Interesting choice for the IO to try to go for a Pipe of Insight. It is not one of those team-wide utility things that'll heal times 2.5 because of Tether, but it's still very important against things like Ravage and Ice Blast, as well as the Radiance Aura.
Yeah, I guess deciding that the Ice Blast is reason enough not to go for the mech, but you're not always going to be getting hit by that Ice Blast. It's not got that high. It's got decent uptime, especially with the Ag Scepter, but I feel like you could still easily justify going for the mech. Or the Blink Dagger or something along those lines.
I think the Pipe will do work if he can finish it, but he's still got a little bit of ways to go, and yeah, it's really hard for them. Even if they get the Pipe, they're still taking magic damage that'll burn through that. And of course there's the pure damage that they're not even prepared for from the Timbersaw.
Well, nice thing stands here. LGD still in really good position here. This Sylar gem has helped out a lot. Probably soon we maybe even see Sylar pass it back to the support so they can have that defense from the Shadow Blading Slark themselves. But for now, being able to control the map has really worked out pretty nicely, although the ward placement, we're seeing that same ward near that middle camp in the Radiant Jungle. There's one on top of the cliff at the top rune. These are ward spots which very rarely get de-warded because you need flying vision of some kind. And at this stage, you don't often see that flying vision.
They do have Ice Vortex, which could help that, but they actually had an Ice Vortex here. That might be a graphics bug. That's been there for a little while. No, it just expired.
I think it's just helping farm neutrals. Mid lane, ZSMJ goes in, but he pounces out after getting Hex. He doesn't get the BKB up. They're going to Ravage Finger this one. They're going to blow him up before he can BKB. Ends the mega kill streak. Tide immediately refreshes. They want to go down mid. They want to maybe go high ground here. Slark has no buyback. Oh dear. And Sylar, it looks like he scouted out some heroes here. It's going to be pretty caught out. Manta out of the silence. Wisp also dies on the high ground to the Timbersaw, and this is looking really bad for HGT. Down the mid lane we go. 45 seconds on Slark. Ravage is available.
Yeah, this Heart of Trask is just insurmountable. You watch the Queen of Pain ultimate. It's level 16 doing pure damage, and it just brushes it off the shoulder. Like, it's nothing. He's able to do so much, survive through everything. They would have to have all 5 heroes hitting him for a good 6 or 7 seconds at least to bring him down.
Well, with that, LGD looking like they may secure Game 2. They took Game 1. This would give them a 2-0 lead in the best of 5. There was no 1-0 advantage. It was a straight-up BO5 series. So HGT will not be eliminated, but they seem to match up really badly against LGD's playstyle. They've beaten Vici twice, so this team by no means a slouch, but it just seems to be a bit of a mismatch when it comes to playstyle. The defensive, let's sit back, get Sylar farm, turtle it up, playstyle against HGT's mid-game kind of aggression, which just doesn't seem to ever find kills against LGD.
Yeah, HGT, they tried the Tricore originally for the first game. The second game, they go for something that's a little bit more tempo-oriented, but if anytime they die or trade evenly, they're just losing out.
Is there an Ice Blast? There is. He's not throwing it just yet. Orchid onto the illusion. Here comes the Ice Blast. He's stepping outside. He's even being bottled up, so...
Yeah. They will see it on the minimap, but that's one thing a lot of newer players don't know is that if there is detection, if there's any towers or anything, you will see that little dot go across your minimap. You won't see the big blue circle, but you will see a little tiny red dot, and you can, using that information, try to avoid it.
Well, LGD, fantastic position here. MMY has got a Yule Scepter, which is a nice item to have against the Slark, because when he initiates on you, you self-Yules, and then when you come down, his Dark Pact will generally be on cooldown because he uses it when he engages on you with the pounce. So then you can look to Hex him, Impale him, and either blink out or go for the kill.
And it's also great defensively against most of these heroes, actually.
Yeah. Can use it to set up on quite a few here, but for LGD, they take a mid melee and range racks. The Onaga Illusions finishing off that one. End of the day, HGT, I mean, that range racks was not really a key thing to hold for them anyways. They spot out everyone. Sylar is invis and could look to set things up. Problem is the team fight, there is a BKB on Icy, so he can look to get out of this one. Manta out of the silence and Pretty Whore gets easily sniped there. The MMY Lion finger even used. Not needed, but hey, just for good measure. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it's going to be Kaka in trouble. Tide used his Ravage. Has a refresh in 20 seconds here. ZSMJ brought down the Ancient Apparition, and he's now on the run. Sylar going to sleep and chase. Second Ravage in 15 with a refresher. ZSMJ will Dark Pact. Well, nope, it's too late. He instantly dies before the Dark Pact even procs. GG is called.
I mean, how many times have HGT invaded that jungle, spread themselves out there, go for smoke plays, just back to back to back. They are out of smokes, they are out of chances to make that invade happen, and they just know that Sylar is far too tanky. LGD played this one really well. I really like their support movement, how they were able to actually, when Timbersaw was gank ready, started giving farm to the AA, and how, above all, they prioritized Sylar pulling forward. And as you mentioned, it's just a strategy thing. The fact is, they don't feel that they can out-late game Sylar. They don't feel that they can play those greedy cores to the degree that Sylar is capable, and as such, they're scrambling to find a solution that hits them harder and faster than they're prepared for.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I think part of it's they don't feel they can out-late them, but I think it's also like HGT want to... This is their playstyle. This is what they do. They're sticking to how they play and how they normally win games. It works against most teams pretty well, just maybe not LGD. And that's where so much of how deep you can go in a tournament sometimes comes down to which teams you end up meeting in a certain round. And I mean, HGT weren't even meant to be at this LAN finals. They were a last-minute replacement for Virtus Pro, who pulled out of the event, and here they are in the grand finals. So whichever way you look at for HGT, it's great they're here, but they'd like that win. Problem is now they're down 2-0. Game 3 will be coming up, guys. Stick around. You're listening to GoDz and Blaze cast the I-League Grand Final. Best of 5 action. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll see if the dream is real, if HGT can turn things around. ZSMJ taking on his former club, but so far not having much luck. Stay tuned.